now we're going to take the time to learn how to harmonize phrase endings with chorale-style cadences, which is something you may be asked to do on your Level 8 RCM exam. Now, this question is tough because it's kind of a combination of two things. You have to know how to write chorale-style cadences, which is in another unit and another video I made earlier. You can go watch that if you haven't already. And you need to know how to assess a phrase ending to know which cadence fits that phrase ending. So here on the whiteboard, I've written a short musical fragment. It's not quite a classical phrase. A classical phrase is usually 4 bars long, but for the purpose of this video, I think you'll get my point. And we are going to harmonize these last 2 notes of this pretend phrase with a chorale-style cadence, as if it was the end of a 4-bar phrase. So what we are going to do first is, step 1, we are going to label the scale degrees. The second thing we're going to do is figure out which primary triads can support those scale degrees. And then the third thing we are going to do is write a full-out chorale-style cadence for this phrase ending. So let's get started. So here's our pretend phrase. The last 2 notes are B flat and C. So I'm going to go ahead and label those scale degrees right on the whiteboard. C is the supertonic, that's scale degree 2. I'll write it up here so I can see. And B flat is scale degree 1. It's the tonic. So you might think this is not quite a big deal, but it helps, you're going to see, it's going to help me reason with myself on which chords support these 2 notes. Now I'm going to write out the primary triads of the key I'm in. So I'm in B flat major, and over here, somewhere on the side of my page that doesn't interfere with my work, I'm going to write the 3 primary triads. I'll write the tonic triad, which is B flat, D, and F. I'll write the subdominant triad, which is E flat, G, and B flat. And I'll write the dominant triad of B flat major, which is F, A, and C. Now, if you're an advanced music theory student, you know that you can create cadences with other chords that some of which I didn't include in this list. But for this Level 8 exam, just stick with the 3 primary triads. Don't use dominant sevenths or the supertonic chord or anything extreme like that. So I labeled my scale degrees, and on the side of the page, I wrote out my 3 primary triads. And now I have to ask myself, here's where the crucial pivot point of this question comes in. I have to ask myself which of these 3 chords is best suited to support these notes and creates a cadence when put in that order. So I'm going to show you how I reason with myself. This is scale degree 2, C. Now, which one of these chords has a C in it? Only the dominant triad. Only the dominant triad has the supertonic note of B flat major, which in our case is C. So this means that in the context of this Level 8 RCM exam and writing a cadence in classical music style, in chorale style, the only chord on my list that can fit down here is the dominant triad, the 5 chord. So I'm going to leave that label here to remind myself that I'm going to write the 5 chord there when we start writing the cadence. And the last note, this is B flat, it's the tonic of B flat major. Now I look at my list. Which one of these chords can support the note B flat? Not 5, there's no B flat in the dominant triad. Here's the problem. There's a B flat in the 1 chord, and there's a B flat in the 4 chord. So both of these notes, both of these chords, technically speaking, can be used to harmonize this B flat in my soprano over here. But only one of these is the right answer. I'll show you the wrong answer. 4 is the wrong answer. Why? Even though there is a B flat in the 4 chord, 5 to 4 is not a cadence we learned. It's not a cadence we learned in level 7 or level 6 or now in level 8. 5 to 4 is not a cadence. It's not authentic, it's not half. That's not an option at all. But the tonic triad, 5 to 1. The tonic triad can support this note, and 5 to 1 is a cadence we learned. 5-1 is an authentic cadence. So this works. It works two ways. It works this way because this is a cadence, and it works vertically because 1 supports the tonic note of B flat major. So we are writing an authentic cadence in B flat major, and I deduced all that by figuring out the scale degrees of the notes we were given in the soprano. I wrote out the 3 primary triads, and then I used that combined information to figure out which cadence we have to write. There's no option. Now let's go and finish the job and write out the full chorale style cadence. So just to help my eyes, the dominant triad, I'm going to be writing an F, a C, and another F because we doubled the root. And I'm going to be writing a B flat, D, and an F, and another B flat because we doubled the root. Now, if you get lost in this cadence writing, it means you didn't watch the cadence writing video, so you can go back and watch that. I'm going to now go through the steps of writing a chorale style cadence. The first thing I ask myself is what is in the bass. F is in the bass of the 5 chord, and B flat is in the bass of the tonic triad. Now there's the C taken care of up here, so I'm going to cross that off, and now I'm going to ask myself what's left over. There's an A over there. I'm going to put it in my tenor, and I'm going to put the F in the alto here. Now, if you did watch my cadence video, you know that step 2 of writing a chorale style cadence is to ask yourself, are there any common tones? I purposely wrote this cadence in this video because this is a special exception to my common tone rule, which I described in the chorale style cadence. Even though the 1 chord and the 5 chord share F in the common tone, when you have scale degree 2 going to 1 in the soprano, you can't get that common tone in the same voice. I've tried. It doesn't work. So remember, there's a footnote on my steps list. When we can't use and utilize common tones, the next best thing we can do when writing chorale style cadences is to move the top 3 voices in contrary motion with the bass. So because my bass is going up, I'm going to try to get my soprano, alto, and tenor to move in the opposite direction, in contrary motion downwards. Now the soprano has been taken care of for me. The closest note to this F can be this D, and the closest note to this A in contrary motion can be this F here. So I've got 2 B flats, a D, and an F, and I didn't break any spacing rules either. That's a 6th, F to D is a 6th, that's a 5th, so no rules were broken. That's a 5th, that's okay, that's a 6th, that's okay, and then it doesn't matter with the spacing down there. So there is a chorale style cadence, and we weren't told which cadence to write. We were given a phrase of music, and we had to look at the last 2 notes and figure out what cadence fits those last 2 notes. In the context of this video, I chose to do an authentic cadence. You could be asked to write an authentic cadence at a phrase ending, a half cadence, or in level 8, you could be asked to write a plagal cadence. Plagal cadences are really easy to spot because usually the common tone is always the tonic. And usually on the exam, the last two notes of the phrase ending will be the tonic and the tonic. So if you find yourself on your level 8 exam and you are doing the phrase ending question, and your phrase that you've been given, the last two notes are the tonic and the tonic, you know for certain that's a plagal cadence, because you cannot support either of those notes with the 5 chord. It has to be 4-1 for a plagal cadence. So if you want to practice this further, you can go to my website, classicalcontext.ca, and I've made a very pretty phrase ending worksheet where there are 4 phrases, I believe. And you can look at each one of those 4 phrases, you can analyze the last 2 notes of each one of those phrases, and you can figure out what cadence best suits that phrase ending.